Welcome to Geek Nerd Tech on Black Hollywood Live. Today we talk about the Olympics and the social media presence, and Hillary Clinton gets a podcast. Let's go.
You are tuned in to Black Hollywood Live's Geek Nerd Tech.
I came from the city back in the time, 1977.
Welcome, welcome to Geek Nerd Tech.
Special effects.
Black Hollywood Live, the show we break down geek, tech news and nerd culture from a black and brown geek perspective. I'm Joe Braswell. I'm joined as always by Mr. Keely Shine.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir.
How's it going?
We in here, man. The get down.
The Get Down. The Baz
Get
Luhrmann.
down or lay down.
Maybe masterpiece that dropped on Netflix.
Not
I
a
think
maybe.
last week.
Not a maybe.
It's. I mean, I've been waiting for this thing for a minute. I'm super excited about it. It's been just plagued. I read a big long thing in a Variety about it. I mean, Baz, man, it went like 150 million over budget. Sean Ryan and other notables fired. People brought in. Other notables, brought in to write some pieces. It looks like it's got to be spectacular.
Everything that I've read and the very little that I've seen, it is all spectacular. And some are saying it's possibly the best show on Netflix ever.
Wow. I mean, it's definitely going to be. It's definitely ambitious. The only thing I read about it was the 90-minute premiere is super Baz Luhrmann-y in terms of, CGI, all mixing genres, mixing editings kind of thing, the storytelling, maybe whatever. But I hear that after that first episode, not the first episode's whack, that after the first episode, it settles into it's what's probably the best ever.
I mean, I feel there's probably a correlation to even how Stranger Things unfolded. Like at first, for me, Stranger Things, the first episode, I was like, what is this? And then I fell in love with it. And to me, I think Stranger Things is up there as one of the best Netflix properties of all time. But I think this joint, Get Down, is going to be in the top 5 for sure.
Okay,
for sure.
I'm excited to get to it. I'm really, really excited.
Get down or lay down.
A long time. But I will say props to Netflix because these, finding these young actors in Stranger Things, people who you've never heard of, and now in the Get Down, all these people who you've never seen or heard of, who are killing it. And I know we're going off on this, but it's one last thing. The fact that he had that compound that he had where he taught everyone, had everyone learn authentic moves, breakdancing moves from 1978, 99, authentic scratching from the time period. He just
Absolutely.
came in I know how to scratch. No.
Do it this way.
Do it this way.
The specifics, the
Very
details.
Specific, the details. And
I love that.
And everybody's already saying that the dancing and the musical stuff is unlike anything we've ever seen.
That's why I think it could be up there because it's authentic. It's literally puts you in that time.
What does it mean to you that it takes a white gay Australian man to bring the story of
doesn't mean anything. It's POV. If he's able to tap into a time period where he's able to bring forth to life how it actually was, I respect it. You know what I'm saying? He's a storyteller. I mean,
I'm not saying anything against Baz Luhrmann. He's amazing. It just means why is he?
That's like saying Ryan Coogler can't do. No.
I'm not.
The next Rocky movie.
The point that I'm not making the point that he can't do it. The point that I'm making is, that it took him to get it made. Is what I'm saying.
So you're talking about more the politics and the business. I understand.
I'm sure you can't tell me that this hasn't been pitched 1,000 times.
I completely agree.
And then everyone's like, who wants to see that shit? And then So anyway.
No, I'm with you on that.
That's so props to Baz for getting that done. With the help of a bunch of other people, it sounds like.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, my last note on it. I just think right now with, we talk about OTT all the time and Netflix in particular, but the diversity of their slate, I think, is pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. With the offering that they're giving people, I think it's good TV. It's good entertainment.
Sure.
You have everything you could possibly want on Netflix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think at this point it would be irresponsible for Reed Hastings and the gang with the amount of money they're spending, and they're talking about spending 3 times as much. They're already outspending everybody, and they're talking about spending 3 times as much. With the amount of money that they're spending on original programming, it would be irresponsible for them not to have something for everybody. Right. They have to have something for everybody. You can't just have we're spending 3 times as much. We only have for these people. They've got to have something for that. That's the goal.
But I don't mean something for everybody it's niched out. This is a niched out story, but I feel like it's still for everybody.
Right. You talk about the diversity in storytelling.
Everything.
Storytellers.
Exactly.
Right.
Everything.
God,
all because it's hip hop, it's 70s, it's black folks. Like I feel like this is a story for everybody. Sure. Everybody will love it. Just like everyone loves Stranger Things. It reminds them of a certain time. The 80s.
Just was like everyone loves Stand By Me or whatever. It's the same thing. I completely agree with that. It's an exciting time across the board, and we'll see. Like
we need to get some of that Netflix money.
Man, they're like giving it out, like just burning it, setting on fire. Like I'll take the ashes.
Exactly.
Like anyway, so moving on. So the Olympics is going on right this very second, and as we talked about leading up to the Olympics for a long time, this is going to be the most watched Olympics ever, also the most shared, the most social Olympics ever. And brands
it already has.
Already has been.
It already has been before it started.
Right. That's very, very true. Very true. So our predictions were kind of like not really real predictions because it was already kind of preordained. But I will say, but now, of course, the brands have been capitalizing on that. And some studies came out to show who are the most, who've been the most social brands. And there's some kind of surprising names. Some names you expect, like Coca-Cola and GE and Visa and Samsung, but some other names like Bridgestone Tires and Dow Chemical.
Yeah.
Like, those are shockers to me. And frankly, and Bridgestone actually bumped McDonald's. Bridgestone's like fourth. Mm-hmm. Bumped McDonald's down to fifth. Is Bridgestone really like...
I mean, the people have vehicles all over the world.
Wow.
Like, why not? I mean, I think it's a testament to just, the programming, the nonlinear and linear programming, the opportunity for the advertiser to be able to get his or her products in front of a particular audience or even a wide audience. And I think with the technology and just the overall interest in the Olympics this year and just people's connection to the smaller screen, to their tablets and their phones, I think it just gives great opportunity for them to have the maximum amount of presence and the maximum amount of interaction, because you're able to, and the shareability of some of the ads and all that stuff, like, because of that, because of the ecosystem that we are with technology, we have the ability to have this conversation with brands. Instead of it being a monologue, it's a dialogue. And so I think because of that, the numbers are much higher than any other year before. Yeah, and it'll continue down in that fashion as well.
What do you think about the fact, obviously, I'll just run these off. It's Samsung, McDonald's, no particular order, Samsung, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Bridgestone, Omega, Visa, Panasonic, GE, Procter & Gamble, Toyota, Dow, and Atos, whatever the hell that is. These are giant companies. I guess we shouldn't be surprised that the biggest that the biggest fish who spend the biggest money are going to be making the biggest splash.
I would assume so. I would assume so for the traditional programming model, because most of the eyeballs, most of the viewership is still, as it relates to Olympics, it's still with linear programming. So obviously you have the big fish spending the big budgets on the biggest platform. Makes perfect sense to me. Right. But for some of the medium-sized companies, even though they're still Fortune 500 companies, they're still able to play at both tables. Play on YouTube, play on traditional formats, play on every format that is that there's an offering for. So I think it kind of, I want to ask, do you think it levels the playing field for a medium-sized company versus like a top 20 company of the Fortune 500 in terms of their competition?
Well, that's what I thought. That's what I thought would happen, but apparently not, because I'm looking at these numbers and they're all like giant Fortune 500s.
Bridgestone is, as you said, it's fourth place. That's not that's a Fortune 500 company, but it's not a top 30 company.
It's not a top 30 company. It's not Procter & Gamble, which is, and others, or McDonald's or Coca-Cola, but still, but also, I thought it would, but I think it's kind of a way how to because it's not necessarily just about. I also wonder about how this works, because looking at these best performing hashtags, some of them are, like, two of them are by Coca-Cola, but ironically don't feature Coca-Cola in the name, right? So Coca-Cola did That's Gold, and I can't even read this one. I can't read this last one, but That's Gold, and another one, and then neither of them say Coca-Cola. Now hashtag Coca-Cola is seventh, but it's not 1 and 2. So the irony of them having the top two performing hashtags, but not one of them be Coca-Cola. Samsung is the fourth highest performing hashtag, and it is hashtag Samsung. That seems like the biggest win to me, right? If your name is the highest performing hashtag, the fourth highest, Nissan
that is definitely a win for Samsung.
Yeah, so everyone's doing all these things to create these clever hashtags to associate with your brand. But if you can just get your brand up there, and that's the win, right?
Absolutely, man. So I know we covered a few weeks back about Apple and the world, what do they call it? The world campaign video, the world video, or whatever. Like, where's Apple on the list? Did they even make top 10?
That's a
interesting.
Great question. Apple's not. No, Apple didn't even make the top. Nothing. That's
The
a
top
great
nothing.
point. Yeah. Well, first of all, Apple is a worldwide company, but it's an American-based company, really. I mean, as is Coca-Cola, I guess. But I don't think of. It's interesting. I guess Apple is a global company, but their global penetration. But even in their direct, some of their direct hardware competitor is Samsung, and Samsung's up there.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, granted, Samsung does do a lot more consumer electronics than Apple does with TVs and appliances and refrigerators and everything else. But that is interesting. Samsung's number 4. Apple's nowhere to be found. That is very interesting. Top performing hashtag Rio 2016 Olympics football, Rio de Janeiro and Rio. So
another thing that's surprising to me of a company is Nike. Nike's not even in the top 10.
yeah, I mean, those shoe companies, right?
And you would think every image of the
shoe
Olympics
companies.
is Nike.
Yeah.
Everyone has Nikes on.
What do you
Some
attribute that
athlete
to?
has Nike. I have no idea.
Is that a failure? So when you see that and you see like the opportunity of Nike, the biggest shoe company in the world, sponsoring the biggest platform of the world, every athlete's got a swoosh on, yet they can't even crack the top 10. Is that a failure on their social media? Is that a failure of people's lack of awareness? I mean, like,
I don't think it's a failure of a lack of awareness. Maybe it's just people aren't emotionalized by the ads. Maybe it's not speaking to them. Maybe the narratives aren't bringing them to action. But I mean, definitely they have a presence. It's on every image,
I really find it fascinating that the hashtag Samsung is number 4. I would never in my life be moved to hashtag a brand, hashtag McDonald's, hashtag Samsung.
But see, I think I know why. Because a lot of these brands that are on the list aren't obviously versus Nike. It's on athletes. It's on their shoes. Sometimes it's on their uniform.
Right.
Like they're not running ads as heavy as like a Samsung. So maybe that's the reason.
That's a good point. I mean, I guess it has to do with your spend and what your penetration is, but it's very fascinating to see. Like, it's one thing to talk about social media, the most shared ever, and the buzziest, but like, who's really capitalizing on these eyeballs or on this attention? Like, and how are they capitalizing? Which will continue to be the debate. Like, I'll wonder. I'm sure Adweek will have a bunch of think pieces and stuff on this for the next like 2 months. But I wonder who will be the ad agencies and the ad campaigns and the ad things that emerge, the digital agencies that emerge, who really won globally. Because there's always people who were nobodies and now they're somebodies, or vice, So we'll see. That'll be interesting to track and find out. Moving on, there's some shareable buzziest moments. There's some obvious ones. A lot of swimmers. It seems like it's all swimmers and all gymnastics. But for you personally, what did you see? What was your like most shareable moment?
I've been getting my fair amount of Olympics in. I've seen pretty much all the major highlights. Definitely Phelps. I think he's an animal and a beast. I mean, he's top 3. I think he's 3rd place actually for this week. Obviously Bolt. I mean, my man came through. He did it. Can't argue against it.
I mean, seven runs,
and,
7 goals,
and smiling as he crosses
time.
the finish line, smiling while the people are damn near dying.
Wasn't dude just hurt?
I know, like 2 months ago, hamstring pull.
I'm no doctor.
But anyway.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think those 2 are the most notable. But I've been following a lot of Carmelo Anthony's content.
Yeah,
he's been doing a lot of great video posts on his Instagram page. But yeah, that's the thing. Like your digital, what's it called? It's called the DER, digital. I'm drawing a blank. Let me look it up real quick because I don't want to jack it up.
No, it's all right.
I got it. Okay. It's called the digital engagement rating.
Okay, got it.
And so what that is based on all your social media platforms. So it's Twitter, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, and everything in between. The rating is based on how much interaction you're getting with your fans, based on content that you generate, based on just general conversation about the content you create and generate. And so I think though Michael Phelps was top 3, or he was 3rd in the top 5. And so I think because of his, I don't know if you follow his Instagram, but he's very, very active. And I think that's how they're basing, the top athletes based on how much they post, based on what content obviously is being reposted, shared, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so it's interesting to find out like the motivation behind these athletes posting, because a lot of it, I mean, there are a lot of a lot's at stake in terms of brand wise. I know people who get $10,000 a post and other things. Like, I wonder how much of this are they capitalizing and cashing into these posts? But most of them just seem like they're just having fun. Like Durant posting a picture with Phelps. It seems like, hey, I just want to post a picture of Phelps. Like,
they're organic.
Yeah. And by the way, like that picture of Durant and Phelps. I mean, Phelps is tall, but Durant, he makes Phelps look like a little kid. and like a little kid. They're both real skinny too. That's interesting. The last thing I want to mention about this is the whole even following the Gabrielle Douglas sort of
course
controversy, if you will. I mean,
Gabby. I can't believe you called her Gabrielle.
I'm looking at everything Gabrielle, but Gabby, people calling her Krabby Gabby and all that other stuff. I mean, this is, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think it's tough that it's like you're in the limelight 4 years ago and everyone loves you, and now the tide turns, but like for unjust reasons. Like
what is she supposed to be doing?
Exactly. And like they're crafting these negative stories, like, oh, you're not putting your hand on your heart during the. You're not just being supportive of your teammates, like all this stuff that they're putting on her that's not really happening. It's like, man, like, why am I receiving all this hate for what?
Right.
I think that's kind of sad.
I think it's sad.
What's the nature? It's the nature of where we are as a society and how we communicate over social media.
Oh yeah, I mean it's I don't know, it's interesting. But the Olympics, and one last thing before we move on from the Olympics, I do want to mention. We saw that moment, which was a big moment yesterday with Abby Agostino helping Nikki Hamblin after they had a little crash and she fell and got up and tried to that was every time I see something like that, it kind of chokes me up like a little bit, because it's just like you think these people work their whole lives for this moment and then they fall when they get up to finish the race. It's heartbreaking, but to see the people work together and come back and sort of work through that, I think that was a cool moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to the greater concept and philosophical position of what the Olympics are for, and that's although we are a globe full of nations, but we really are one people. We are really one, and so I think bringing everyone together to demonstrate the best of who we are as humanity, I think is the point of the Olympics, and flushing out whatever negative issue we might have through the act of athletics. I think is a healthy way to showcase who we are.
Yeah, I agree. So moving on. So Audi is really, we talk about like smart cars all the time, but Audi is really taking it one step other with a Connect Prime, their new feature. They're actually over their internet, or the LTE connection at least. They're gonna give you not only real-time traffic information, which we have through Waze and other stuff like that. They're taking it one step further. They're getting you when traffic lights are going to be changing. So they'll time these. I'm not sure how this works, but they're able to display the light and have a countdown as to how many seconds until the light changes red or green. First of all, is this gimmicky or is this useful?
I think it could be useful. It sounds gimmicky. But yeah, like the Audi technology will be able to plug into the city's traffic infrastructure, and so essentially it'll create a feed that will communicate literally like the time that a light will be green, and it will count down to red, or how long the light will be red until it ticks up to green. And so in those times you're able to judge, should you turn to right, left, go to this light because you might make it because it's green, or right. I mean, I get it in concept that it could be something that could help reduce traffic, or help reduce your time in traffic, but I do think that is gimmicky, because I don't really know how useful that is. Like, if that's really going to save you time, is it really going to help with your increase your productivity because you're not on the road as much? Or like, I mean, I don't. If you were asking me to invest money into this, would I? I don't think I would. It doesn't seem too appealing to me. Like, in terms of where we are as it relates to transportation and autonomous vehicles and all these other things that people are teetering with. Like, I think this is like kind of like a gimmick. Yeah. Like, cars are going to be driving us. Like, we don't have to even worry about it. You know?
It seems very gimmicky, but it also seems it is kind of cool to look down and see like, this is something I would love, but probably have no real actual use for. But it seems more distracting. I'd be like, 5 seconds to go on the light. Yeah, exactly. What are you doing? You getting ready? Like, does it make you time your route better? But
I think it will cause more accidents, to be honest. Because, oh shit, I'm gonna try to make the red light. 10 seconds.
Yeah.
For it.
It's interesting. Very, very interesting on that. Okay, moving on to that. Ford says it's going to start selling driverless cars by 2021, that's pretty quick. I mean, look, that driverless technology is here. I mean, there's been already hundreds of thousands. Google's already driven hundreds and hundreds of thousands of driverless hours already, with something like 2 accidents, saying like it's the safest thing ever. Like, so, and both accidents were like some goofy thing that happened. I think Other companies have done hundreds of thousands of hours. Everyone's out there just driving cars, just driving nonstop, testing this stuff around the country. And Ford seems to be confident enough that they will have it together by 2021. Although people at Google says they'll be ready, like they're ready now. They're kits that people can buy. Kids are buying kits now, not just kids, but hobbyists are buying kits to build in their own driverless cars. Like you can build these things and have the software. So I mean, I don't know. Is this? I mean, I guess we're here, right? I mean, Ford is Ford. I mean,
Ford is making the argument or putting the flag in the soil, saying that not only will we, bring our company into future technology, but they're saying they're going to provide the hardware and the software that will be used, period, blanketly throughout any type of transportation. Right. That's what they're arguing. But I think the point is that typically or historically, the usage of automobiles has been a product. You go in and you buy a car, right, and you drive the car. So now their business model is making that product now a service. So instead of you going to purchase a car, now all you have to do is purchase the service. And so they're banking on, thousands and thousands of miles of people buying to take them from point A to point B and back again. Like we're gonna make our money off that, And so I think, and they're even suggesting they're not even gonna have an accelerator or a brake even in the car. Like all you do is get in the car and it takes you plug in your destination like you would do on Uber or Lyft, and it takes you to where you need to go, and they're making money. I think it's a different business model. Yeah. Just to think that it could theoretically save on pollution, it could save on traffic, it could reduce the building of parking lots, because now people don't have to park their car anywhere. The cars are always in motion, and it's the same thing that Elon Musk is saying he wants to do with Tesla. Like, because you use 5% of the time you're in your car. The other 95%, your car's not even being used. Yeah. So why not figure out a way to make money off the vehicle or lease out the vehicle to someone else to give them the usage?
Sure. I mean, it's also productivity for yourself too. I mean, it's the active versus passive argument. Obviously, you're actively engaged driving the car. Where if you're a passenger, you can be passively engaged, which frees you up personally to be more productive theoretically. It's something I just wonder about the idea of part of cars and driving car and being car enthusiasts is the pleasure of driving the car and having that experience of driving the car. It's not just functional transportation. I mean, it's not just about functional transportation. So
but you'll have an option. You have an option.
Right. But it's interesting to see that Ford getting into the transportation business as opposed to getting into the car business, and then also into the software business. But I don't know.
I mean, when I take a look at this concept and is where we are with transportation, I feel like if I imagine a world where like literally I don't have to drive, mm-hmm, and it's safe and it's cheap, mm-hmm, like, do I really want a car? Do I really want to drive? Or would I be wanting to do other things? I don't know. Like, I think that might become like a pastime.
I mean, it's one more thing that it's look like, man, Steven Spielberg and his gang at Minority Report are like, they're like 10 for 10. Like, one more thing they're getting right with the cars. I believe Paul Verhoeven or one of those guys had it right with Total Recall too, with the Johnny Cab. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
I mean, I'll throw you a question. Do you think that, I mean, we're in the era of transition where products are becoming services, and do you think that this type of zeitgeist that we're in, of that happening, will continue to happen more? I mean, there's case by case in multiple industries where once of a time you could buy a product, but now it is something that it serves you.
Yeah, I think that's kind of absolutely where we're headed, and I think that like it'll be interesting to see if it enhances society or doesn't enhance society. I keep going back to WALL-E, the Pixar movie WALL-E, where we're all the humans of the future are like in these pods being floated around with virtual reality headsets on and being fed food, and in these big giant big gulp drinks, and like I don't know, like it's it's one thing. I like the idea of things being passive and then things becoming services to aid you, but if it becomes a point where everything is passive to the point you're really doing nothing, but experiencing these services and being catered to, then where are we as human beings? How do we excel, learn, get exercise, interact? Like that's the new question. As we get into the world of Oculus Rifts and virtual realities. And
what about the products that are now services that are mundane, like driving? Driving is mundane. Like you have to do it to get from point A to point B, and that takes time. Would you rather not use that time for other creative explorations?
Of course. I mean, this is sure. I mean, I would love to be in the car and doing other stuff, and being driven somewhere. But also, I like the idea of getting in the car and driving across country.
That's why you throw on your VR headset.
Okay, so I'm trying to call caught. I'm like doing something else. Oculus Rift while I'm in the faster seat.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. Disengagement. So many movies. What's that? Oh, of course. Thank you. Speaking of technology, we're talking about our friends from General Assembly. If you guys are looking for a career in tech, data, business, digital marketing, any of those things, if you're trying to get a promotion or a raise, to excel in your career, you need 21st century training and skills. General Assembly is the largest, most respected school worldwide for people seeking to grow their talents and master the marketplace. Whether it's learning remotely, online, or in person, or on their beautiful campuses, you can join one of the more than 350,000 people who already gotten training and they need to prepare their careers in tech or business. More than 2,500 companies worldwide use General Assembly graduates. 99% of the graduates who participate in GA's career services land a new role in the field within 6 months of starting their job search.
That's awesome.
That's really incredible. 6 months of starting their job search. Here's what you do. Take control of your career right now. Find out more at ga.co/geek. That's ga.co/geek. Enter promo code GEEK and save on your first class, workshop, or event. That's ga.co/geek, code word GEEK. That's crazy.
Yeah, General Assembly.
General Assembly. You can get it done, campus or online. Also, if you can learn at home if you want, or you can go to the campus. Yeah. Whatever you want to do. Couple other quick ones. I can't say it. Nosulus Rift is something that sounds like I swear I kept looking at this and looking at my calendar. Is it April Fool's? South Park, The Fractured But Whole new game has something called Nosulus Rift, which supposedly goes over your nose and is able for you to have a sense experience playing the game. Is this real?
Oh yeah, it's real. I mean,
it looks so goofy, but I guess it's real.
I mean, it's definitely an add-on to your VR headset, and some are making the argument that it could be a gimmick, or it could fail like Xbox with what's the Xbox add-on?
That's not a failure. Kinect.
Yeah, the Kinect.
So I'm still using Kinect.
Yeah, but I mean, Kinect in the industry, people would claim it as a failure. Like it didn't really jump up. So I don't know. Right. People are arguing that this might be kind of like along the same lines. But I love the fact that it's exploring using other senses. I mean, and your the ability to smell, like that affects everything. And so if you're in a piece of content, you're watching a piece of content, or you're interacting or playing a game, like, and to be able to smell the environment, who knows? That might really have a sense of authenticity, like that you would not be able to find playing the game in any other way. So I don't know, man. I don't know if this is something that would take off and you would find this, in all different types of games, or if this is just kind of like a one-off. But I think for a one-off for South Park, I think it's a great pairing. It's a great match.
What's interesting to me about it is it's funny that South Park, of all games, which is basically of all properties, which is essentially a 2D, sort of experience, would have this sort of, sensory experience when you're looking at these 2D characters bounce around. But it seems a little gimmicky to me. But I guess this is where it's heading. I mean, pretty soon we'll have set the full helmet that'll be plugged into your nose and your ears and your eyes, and I don't know what's next.
I won't be having anything plugged into my ears and nose.
No, me neither. The whole thing is scary to me. Okay, we want to skip this next one, but I want to talk about the Air Force is offering their drone pilots an extra $175,000 to stick around for an extra 5 years. I mean, basically, the drone pilots are in such high demand, and it seems like the drone program, and this is my estimation, is cranking up, that they're jumping their bonuses up, from $25,000 a year to $35,000 a year. I mean, what do you make of this?
I mean, I was going to ask you, why do you think they're bumping it up? Why do you think that there is such a increase?
Drone warfare, just drone, not only drone warfare, but drone surveillance and drone operations are at a all-time high. And whether it's under the Obama administration, but whether it's just the way technology is, whether it's the way we're fighting wars now or collecting surveillance, it's at all-time high. I mean, drones are an integral part of how the military operates, and so we need more drone pilots.
Well, what it's saying is that that is the case. I mean, instead of having a manned aircraft, it's unmanned now. But like, just they said something like 150 people will go out for the program, and 240 people will quit within the same year. And so like their retention rate is super low. Like, and so that's why they're bumping up the salaries, because they want to be able to incentivize people to be in the program, because they're not keeping people. People are saying, "Oh, I can't do this. It's too traumatic." And like, there's a lot of post-traumatic, there's a lot of PTSD that's involved. Like, you do a drone strike, a 500-ton bomb depletes a city or a town, and you're seeing the ramifications of that, and that's having a direct effect on why people are saying, "I can't do it," because it's killing them off psychologically, like, and it's just too painful. And so they're using this extra bonus to incentivize people to come in. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard. The detachment, and there was that movie that recently about this, the Helen Mirren movie, the detachment that you experience from that, as you mentioned, especially in our video game era. I mean, these people who were trained now came up on Call of Duty and these other games, and it's really interesting. What this does for these guys, and being locked in that room and doing that psychologically, it's a whole different ball game. But anyway, maybe this person will either double down on that or change that. But Hillary Clinton is hosting her own podcast, which I think is very, very, very progressive and cool. She's not really hosting it; she's co-hosting it. She's actually part of it. She's actually it's a move to give sort of dispatches from the campaign trail. I think it's a smart move, although podcasting speaks to a very, very specific demographic, so I don't know how much the outreach is, but it does speak to a younger demo. I think this is a very, very smart move, taking a page out of the Obama communication team and just doing some progressive things. I think this is very cool. I haven't listened to one yet, but it seems like it's only like 15 minutes long, but it's still kind of cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it's cool. I mean, it shows that, she's trying to connect with the audience where they are and what platform they are. And so, I mean, just like we talk about all the time on the show, how the candidates are using social media and how they're spending more ads on social media than they are on TV, and how the game has kind of shifted and changed and transformed. And so you have to be adaptable. And this is a great way that Hillary Clinton is doing that, to be able to speak to her supporters, followers, and to be able to gain newbies. And so I think, just having the technology to be able to communicate and be able to communicate in this form and set up shop wherever she is. She might be in Miami for an episode. She might be in New York for episode 2. She might be somewhere across the world for episode 3. And she's still able to communicate and give you intimate details as to what's going on currently, or, anecdotal stuff that happened in the past. Like, it's perfect. It makes you want to have more of a loyalty to her. So.
Absolutely, man. And podcasts, as you know, I mean, because they're like right in your earbuds, and it's a medium where you feel really intimately connected to the listener and who you're listening to, and you feel like you know them well. I mean, I've met so many podcasters that I've listened to for years and met them in person. I feel like I'm their best friend. I had to realize that, I'm not. I don't even know you. And so that I think this is really good, because Hillary definitely needs some humanizing. It's just so I don't know how this could be bad unless she comes off as.
I mean, would it be bad for Trump to have this as an option?
I mean, this is interesting you said. I think Trump's the one guy who this may not work better for. I mean, Trump is a guy who
I think this will work great for him.
Well, he seems to be a guy who's more on a loud platform situation. I don't know of an intimate hour with Trump, like on a regular basis. It's just too many opportunities for gaffes and too many opportunities for. Do people really want to get to know the real Trump?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think they do.
I know, but do you think that'll help him?
I mean, Hillary's only doing.
If you only got to know the real me,
Hillary's doing short form. She's doing 15, maybe 30 minutes.
Very controlled.
Trump could do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess
who knows? He might be like, okay, Hillary's doing that. Let me try to pivot and do it too.
I would be shocked.
The Trump podcast.
God, so many things. I want to get to just quick. Let me run through these things really quickly. Google is coming out with wants to help us vote, which I think is a great idea. They are trying to implement this a system they have called it was basically an in-depth in-depth search results for how to use a ballot, cast a ballot, and it helps people in places like Arizona and others really get to the polls and utilize be informed more than they should. I think Google does have a responsibility, as large as they are, to help people with this, as does Facebook, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about all the time, corporations or social media companies having a degree of social responsibility. And I think what Google's doing is civic responsibility. In a way, it's instructing, educating young folk, all folk really, about how to vote. And it's making the argument that saying the more that it's easily presented and the more that you're able to, again, retain the information, like that translates into you actually going to vote. And so oftentimes people don't vote because they don't have the information, they don't know how, they don't have the education, they don't have the facts to be able to make an informed choice, and also just how to go about doing it. They don't know. And so Google's saying we will help you with that. We'll use our platform to be able, and we will not, be biased, and we won't promote a candidate because of our own personal interests. We'll be very impartial, very objective, and just give you the information. And I love the fact that a company of that scale is doing something like that.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's good for them. And I wonder if people are going to be having these clamoring about the liberal Google, and like they were about Facebook. The idea of like getting involved in the election, and because they're the Silicon Valley company, they're left leaning when they're actually a giant global ubiquitous company at this point. But I wonder about that. But
but that's the thing. They're saying we're not going to give you any leanings. We're not going to give you any.
But it doesn't stop people from complaining about the meddling. The whole idea of that's my point. But we'll see. I think that's it. I want to just say for this, I think that's it. But I do want to. One last thing I do want to mention is I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Mr. Kenny Baker. Was 81 years old. He passed away, best known as R2D2. It's interesting because R2D2 now the technology is such that there's a bunch of R2D2s. There's hobbyists who make these R2D2s and remote control and full size R2D2. But in 1976, 77, the technology wasn't there, and you needed a person inside actually controlling that. And he did that for every Star Wars except for this last one, even though he was there. But I think it's too ill to be in The Force Awakens. Although,
well, he was there as a consultant.
He's there as a consultant. Okay, good. So good for him. But R.I.P. Kenny Baker.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome just to see, reading about him and just getting different stuff that I never really knew about him. I think it's cool just in terms of how he got in the business as an actor and as a performer. Really, he started in the circus and just navigating his way through the industry and landing a role like that, and it's so iconic. And that, and to know that he was in there. Some of the scenes were shot in the desert and it's hot, and that man was sweating his ass off, and he was just getting it done. I think that's pretty cool, man. Just a piece of popular culture that can't take for granted. It's very iconic.
And I do want to share. Mark Hamill had a very cool tweet. He said, "Goodbye, Kenny Baker, lifelong loyal friend. I loved his optimism and determination. He was the droid I was looking for." That's pretty dope. So R.I.P. Kenny Baker. And I think that's it. Anything else?
Nah, man. I think that yeah, man. We gotta definitely check out the Get Down and go through that, binge that up.
Yep.
And I can't honestly this weekend. That's what I'm gonna be on. Get Down and just, man. We could talk about that, I guess, next time.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next time. We have a show, 50 Years of Star Trek, that aired on History Channel that will be, I think, airing again, but you can check it out on history.com and on Apple TV as well. We produced it, and it's good. 50 Years of Star Trek, check it out. We'll talk more about it next week. Thanks. Bye.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Christie, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me @KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.